You've seen hackers crack a military firewall in 30 seconds. What you didn't see was the slow, boring step that actually unlocks everything. We've all watched the hacker montage: neon code, dramatic music, a wall of 3D visuals collapsing. That's cinema, not reality. Real hacking is quieter and far more patient. Attackers collect tiny facts, email formats, public job postings, exposed servers, and stack them like bricks. One brick rarely breaks a wall, but many together do. Over the next 10 minutes, I'll separate spectacle from tradecraft and show the small mistakes that lead to big breaches. Hollywood compresses time and dramatizes motion. A movie hack is a sprint with a single genius at a glowing terminal. Real compromises are a relay race. Teams research, test, fail, and regroup across days or months. They prefer low-risk, high-reward moves: stolen credentials, misconfigured cloud storage, or a convincing phishing message. That slow, patient method rarely makes great visuals, but it explains why breaches are so common and quietly devastating. Let's bust some movie myths. Speed is exaggerated. Real access can follow weeks of reconnaissance. Visuals are simplified. Hackers use terminals and logs, not 3D cityscapes. Solo geniuses are rare. Most breaches involve teams with distinct roles. And magic phrases: decrypt AES 256, don't collapse encryption. Attackers usually avoid cracking crypto. They trick people or find misconfigurations instead. Understanding these distortions matters because they change where defenders focus resources and attention. Why does it matter if we misread hacking? Because myths breed bad defenses. If leaders expect superhuman speed, they buy flashy tools and neglect training. If we idolize lone geniuses, we ignore processes and permissions. Most breaches succeed because someone clicked or a configuration allowed it. That means basic hygiene prevents many incidents. So the next time you see a dramatic montage, remember, the real risk lives in habit and oversight, not theatrics. Pop culture isn't all off base. Some creators get the tradecraft right. Mr. Robot uses real commands and plausible social hacks. The Matrix embedded a real Nmap scan and an SSH exploit. Sneakers nailed social engineering long before cybersecurity was mainstream. Black Mirror's webcam extortion felt disturbingly plausible. These scenes matter because they focus on human behavior and system weaknesses, not lasers and countdowns. They show what actually enables attacks, and that's where we should look closer. So what do attackers actually use? No how-to, just awareness. Phishing and social engineering are top entry points. Credential theft and reuse let attackers impersonate users. Unpatched software opens doors. Misconfigured cloud storage leaks data. Ransomware turns theft into revenue. Supply chain compromises multiply access. IoT and industrial devices scale vulnerability. Web application flaws remain bread and butter issues. The common thread is simplicity. Attackers exploit the easiest unguarded door, not the fanciest target. Phishing is social engineering in a shirt and tie. A targeted message mimics a colleague or vendor and asks for a password reset or file. Spear phishing uses public info to look convincing. One well-timed email can give access that no firewall would stop. Training and verification stop most of these attempts. But people are human, and attackers exploit urgency and trust. Next, we'll see how stolen credentials amplify that initial success into a full compromise. Passwords get reused across sites. Attackers test leaked credentials en masse, credential stuffing, to find matches. With a single reused password, they hop between services. MFA breaks many of these attacks, especially hardware keys or app-based authenticators. But poor MFA setups and stolen tokens still allow impersonation. The takeaway: unique credentials plus strong MFA make credential theft far less useful. Up next, how outdated software and cloud mistakes widen the breach path. Unpatched software and misconfigured cloud services are predictable holes. A missed patch can expose a remote code execution flaw. An open S3 bucket or exposed admin console leaks data without drama. These aren't cinematic exploits, they're maintenance failures. Cloud platforms obey configuration. They don't protect by default. Scanning and automated guardrails catch many of these mistakes. But attackers scan too, and when they find negligence, they move in quietly. Next, ransom, extortion, and supply chain dangers. Ransomware is a business model with onboarding and support desks. Affiliates buy access, encrypt files, and negotiate payments. Supply chain attacks compromise a trusted supplier to reach many customers at once. IoT botnets scale attacks cheaply. These operations are organized and patient. They prefer stealth until payday. Midway recap: attackers favor human compromise, misconfigurations, and slow lateral movement. Fix those and you close large classes of attacks. Now let's map an attack lifecycle to see how it unfolds. Attacks follow a predictable lifecycle. First, reconnaissance. Public profiles, vendor lists, and software stacks provide clues. Then, initial access via phishing, exploits, or stolen credentials. Execution and persistence follow. Malware, backdoors, or scheduled tasks. Attackers escalate privileges and move laterally toward critical systems. They collect and exfiltrate data quietly, and then trigger impact, encrypt, extort, or sabotage. Each stage contains small choices that determine detection or success. Next, real cases show those stages in action. Look at Target. Attackers used a vendor credential to move from an HVAC partner into payment systems. SolarWinds showed how a trusted update can carry compromise to thousands. Stuxnet revealed how tailored malware can physically sabotage industrial equipment. These stories share patience, reconnaissance, and chain of trust failures, not Hollywood speed. They teach that a single weak link, vendor access, an automatic update, or a misconfigured service can cascade into national headlines. Next, we'll cover the tools professionals use daily. Real operators rely on practical tools: Nmap for network discovery, Burp Suite for web testing, Wireshark for packet analysis, Metasploit for proof of concept, and scripting in PowerShell or Python. They work in lab environments, build scripts, and decompile binaries. Most time is spent documenting findings, filing tickets, and updating playbooks. The glamour is thin, the work is rigorous. That daily grind is what stops many attacks. Up next, the people who do this work and how culture shapes security. Hacking culture is diverse and professional. Red teams simulate attackers, blue teams defend, purple teams coordinate both. Practitioners come from military intel, self-taught research, IT, and psychology. Ethics separate black hats from white hats, and bug bounties reward responsible disclosure. Paperwork, postmortems, chain of evidence, and compliance dominates much of the job. That bureaucracy might sound dull, but it produces repeatable defenses. Next, let's look at the cyberpunk predictions that actually came true. Cyberpunk foresaw more than aesthetics. It predicted mega-corporate power controlling platforms, ubiquitous surveillance, digital black markets, and identity as software. Ransomware as a service and initial access brokers match those predictions. Deepfakes and voice cloning enable new fraud. Cyber-physical risk, hospital outages, pipeline disruptions turned fiction into public safety issues. The twist: many modern adversaries run like businesses, complete with supply chains and service-level expectations. So how should organizations respond? Practical steps follow. Fiction helps by raising awareness and teaching social engineering lessons. It harms when it creates fatalism or focuses leaders on shiny tools instead of basics. Stereotypes about lone hoodie-clad hackers discourage diversity in the field. The key is balance. Use storytelling to spur curiosity, but rely on proven practices to reduce risk. Next, I'll give specific, practical steps individuals can take today without a Hollywood budget. For individuals, enable multi-factor authentication and prefer security keys when possible. Use a password manager and unique credentials, and consider passkeys as they appear. Keep devices and apps updated, and enable automatic updates where sensible. Backup important files offline or to a separate cloud. Verify unexpected requests with a phone call. Lock down your home router. Change default passwords, update firmware, and put IoT devices on a guest network. These steps cut risk dramatically. For teams and organizations, enforce patch management with deadlines and measure time to patch for critical vulnerabilities. Require phishing-resistant MFA for admins and remote access. Apply least privilege principles and review API keys and service accounts regularly. Centralize logs and baseline behavior to improve detection. Run Purple Team exercises to test detection and response. Secure cloud configurations with automated scanning and immutable backups. Then document an incident response plan and rehearse it on a schedule. The bottom line, Cyberpunk gives us vivid metaphors, but cybersecurity is operations. It's boring by design. Patching, MFA, least privilege, and logging win more often than flashy tools. Attackers win with patience and small mistakes. Defenders win by reducing those mistakes, detecting abnormal behavior, and rehearsing response. There's no single cinematic hack the Gibson moment to stop. There are hundreds of minor choices. In the final scene, I'll point to practical resources you can use next. If you want to go deeper, start with MITRE ATT&CK to map attacker behavior, the OASP Top 10 for web risks, and NIST's cybersecurity framework for program structure. Subscribe to reputable incident reports and follow CISA guidance for ransomware response. And remember, training, patching, and visibility produce outsized returns. Which of these measures could you implement this week? Tell me in the comments and I'll share a follow-up focused on the most requested item. If this cleared up any myths, like the video and subscribe for more explainers. Tell me which scene surprised you most in the comments, phishing, ransomware, or the cyberpunk predictions, and I'll make a follow-up deep dive.